us on the mic, talking life and what's alike. Middle age, it's quite the ride, finding joy and chasing pride. Career dreams and daily grind, funny moments that we find. Letting go of yesterday, making paths along the way. Middle age.
All right. Hi, Tim.
Hey, Trav. What's up, man?
How you doing?
I'm good. Is it as cold there as it is here?
Dude, it is so insanely cold here.
I just don't like to do anything. I just want to get away from it. That's always my goal. We were at a basketball game last night for Nolan, and it ended, and I just basically sprinted to the car in the parking lot because it hurt.
Yeah, it's bad. All right, we're already off the rails. We have a great guest today again. We have been, I know it sounds almost like we rehearsed saying this, but we have been so blessed with amazing guests in terms of just like regular people doing awesome things. And that's going to tie me back into the reintroduction and everything that you love when I do this.
Do your thing, man. Take it.
For those of you who have been here before, welcome back to the Tim and Trav podcast. For those who have not been here, the Tim and Trav podcast, welcome, is basically finding regular, everyday people doing awesome things and telling their stories through them. So, welcome. Thank you, Tim. Great to see you as always.
Great to see you, Trav. May I interrupt you real quick? Last time I complimented you on
you did.
Continuing to repeat that intro. You know what I have thought about since then, however?
Now
something you're not doing, let me now critique you. You should include in that, please like or subscribe.
Yeah, that's true.
Thank you.
You're my hype man. I like it.
If I'm your hype man, you got a problem, man. But folks, please do like or subscribe. That would be wonderful. I think that it helps, but I don't know enough about how all of that works to really
it does help.
It does, right?
It does. It helps immensely. And also, if you, if you're talking podcasts around the water cooler or whatever, like, tell somebody about it. That would be awesome.
The word.
Spread the word.
Thank you.
We also, speaking of comments and people liking things, we have some really good write-in comments. If you have a comment for us or a suggestion or a suggested guest or a question or anything like that, timandtravpodcast@gmail.com. While we're getting all the admin stuff out there, timandtravpodcast@gmail.com. Tim, did you have a comment?
So I have a comment from Cheryl, actually, which is awesome. Remember Cheryl from our first episode of this season? Cheryl had recently listened to the episode with Julia, the main teacher of the year. Awesome, another awesome person. And Cheryl stated, "Hi, I listened to the episode and loved it!" ! Your podcast is excellent, and I love the coffee sponsor. You and Trav are doing a great job. Some of my takeaways from the episode: Christy is amazing. She knows Christy. I'm sure if she met Kristen, she'd feel the same way. David is often my Christy. You don't know David. David is her husband.
Oh, okay. All right.
Great guy. Excellent guy. And then her final comment: I also taught elementary music and chorus. She's absolutely right about how we music teachers are trained. Thanks for interviewing her. So great comment from Cheryl. Thank you so much for writing in.
I love that. I have an equally uplifting response from a very steadfast and loyal listener who has commented before, Jeff. Jeff, thanks so much for writing. Jeff says in an email, "The stuff you unpacked before Holly joined was very funny, very honest and real. I actually had to go back and watch it again." We're getting some rewatches here, Tim. Like, that's pretty
People
wild.
watch the YouTube, huh?
I know, I guess.
That's
so,
cool.
Number one, he said, "Tim, so amazing how truly honest you are. Very few people admit to their shenanigans or faults. You are awesome," with an exclamation point.
Thank you, Jeff.
I agree with him there. Number two, Kristen had great insight. The self-deprecating humor is part of who you are and reveals both your self-confidence and insecurity at the same time. We all have this, and it just manifests itself differently, except for me, where it's the same, unoriginal, and not unique. Yeah, look at that. Maybe you don't need to stop completely, but explain it to the kids. It shows you are not only funny, but strong and vulnerable at the same time. You don't always have to be a superhero, even though you behave that way. That's really good insight. You know what's funny? I actually had a couple people respond to me about the self-deprecation part of it, and I think that's something that we all kind of, if for those of you who are just joining us, I had revealed last episode or the episode before that part of what I do, and Kristen pointed out, is that I use self-deprecating humor And it's not necessarily the best thing to do in front of kids. And a lot of people had a lot of really interesting feedback about that. So thank you. Also, I'm going to cut down. He had a lot of great things to say. He also said, also agree, Hoon was a great and refreshing guest. He's agreeing with Jim there, with such giving nature and clear vision, rare and inspirational. And then he said he ran out of coffee, so he's going to try and place another order. So, and I need to do the same.
There's a group of people. Tell them to get in line.
For sure.
Yeah.
Tim, did you have an awesome wife moment?
I have a good one. Yeah, we were away a couple weeks ago on a family trip with Christy's side of the family. It was a really fun, just long weekend that her mother-in-law, her mother-in-law is my mom. My mother-in-law, it's still a little early, right? Well, sort of. My mother-in-law kindly treats us to over the past couple of years. So we were all away, and some of the older kids who are, the top age there is about 14. We were all getting ready to sit down for dinner, and they all, of course, walk to the table with their cell phones, even though they're not supposed to. The younger kids don't have cell phones. So the issue is the mandate is made to put them all away, and of course none of the kids honor that request. So Christy stands up, walks down to the other end of the table, grabs all the cell phones, and just puts them down near us, away from them. I think that that's important, frankly, and I appreciate the fact that we're aligned on that. I have to tell you, man, it kind of breaks my heart when I see a family, and I'm sorry, I'm just going to share it, but it breaks my heart when I see like a little child or a family all sitting together on their cell phones at a dinner table, or if a kid is sitting there on playing with the cell phone. I get it. But I don't think that it's healthy for us as a community and as, family. And I mean, there's a lot of things that I think are not so great about that. So I appreciate the fact that Christy stood up, takes the energy to address it and move on.
That's modeling good behavior, right? I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah, it's tricky, man. I'm not going to say that I'm an expert in any way. It's probably one of my greatest struggles as a parent is trying to figure out how to balance that. And more than anything, I want my kids to be able to communicate with other people and practice compassion with other people. And the more they're in front of those screens, I don't think it's helping them ultimately. So we struggle with that immensely. But it's it's on the radar. I
don't think you're alone. I think that. Good move on Christy to, intervene that way physically of just like, hey, I know you don't want to, but we're going to take it. I don't think you're alone in that struggle. I know we certainly are. Did you know that there's a new term for that? What? It's called screenager. It's like when a teenager or, I suppose it's not just teenagers anymore, but it's like looking at their screens all the time and it's like, an inch away from their face all the time.
That's funny.
It's a screenager.
Sadly, and I'm going to admit it, sometimes I'm a screenager.
Oh, I need to work on that a lot. Yeah, for sure. Especially with work and all the things is like,
sure.
It's an ever-present thing. So while you're all listening on your phones to this podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
How's that for hypocrisy? Yeah. All right.
What do you got, man?
We had an interesting experience this last weekend. Actually, just yesterday as of this recording. We went to our very first karate tournament. And, it was one of those things. This is for my oldest son. Don't get it twisted that I actually had the bravery to do this myself.
I was going to say, is Kristen doing karate?
No, but when Elliot had brought it up that he might want to do it, he's been training. He's a purple belt. He's been in it for a while. He's made a lot of great strides. He's really enjoyed it. It's something that I consider like one of his good lessons in terms of what he does as activities go. And watching her support him without knowing anything about it. I mean, and she's an athletic person. Like, she knows sports. She knows how to score wrestling because she used to do that in high school. Like, it's not like she's some person who just like, oh, sports, I don't know anything about it, whatever. Like, it's just karate is very specific. And specifically for this is Taekwondo. And then there's other forms of martial arts that are very different from that. But watching her walk in to this with very little knowledge but full support, it was kind of not only was it good in terms of supporting Elliot, but it was also just a good reminder. It's like, look, this is a woman that's going to walk into literally anything that her children are showing an interest in and just help them figure it out and support them fully. And, even if that means that part of the scoring is him getting kicked in the face. Like it's one of those like, yeah, if you want to try this, I will back you 100%. Even though I know nothing about it, I'm going to learn a little bit about it. I'm going to make sure it's good for you and go for it. And so we drove 2.5 hours to the middle of Pennsylvania and watched our first karate tournament. So
wow. And would you say he had a good experience?
He did have a good experience. He went to go into the recreational part of it, and there's like 2 divisions, recreational and champion, and then it turns out that no one else showed up for the recreational part, so he got tossed into the champion part.
Oh boy.
Which is another part of her awesome life moment. It was just like, she was just like, hey, this is your opportunity. You can either do this or not do it, but it's entirely up to you. And he was like, I want to do it. He's like, all right, well, that's what happens when you have, a really supportive mom there.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, he had a good experience. It was fun.
Very cool, man. Thank you.
I'm very proud of him. Yeah, good job, wives. Kristen and Christy.
Once again, we really should get them on here and see if they have anything nice to say about us. I could use an ego boost.
I tell you what, you talk to Kristen and I'll talk to Christy.
I don't think they're coming on.
I don't think so either. It's a nice thought, though.
It's we'll just put it out there as a wish.
Yeah,
fine. Maybe it'll come true someday. So how about that sponsor? They still got us?
They still got us.
Still got them?
Yep.
All right, let's roll it.
Just off the southern coast of Africa is a tropical hotspot with some of the world's greatest biodiversity, Madagascar. Within this magnificently lush landscape, a coffee company was born. Meet Madagascar Coffee Company. With a vision to redefine your coffee experience, these guys are all about next-level quality in your cup, better prices for farmers, and a sustainable supply chain that actually makes sense. If you love coffee, or just need a better cup to get you through the day, check them out at MadagascarCoffeeCompany.com. They've committed to announcing their upcoming sales launch right here on the Tim and Trav podcast. Madagascar Coffee Company. Coffee that does good and tastes even better. All right. Thank you again, as always, Ryan and Madagascar Coffee Company. Always a favorite. Everybody who's had it, Tim, I don't know about you, but they can't stop raving about it.
You know what the problem is, man? And this happened to me this morning, is that I'm drinking my coffee and I'm just thinking about Madagascar coffee. I
know. You need more of it.
It's an issue.
It is an issue. And I'm loving all the social stuff, too. I love the backstory. And, I feel like it's so rare these days that you actually believe in what you're buying. Like you just kind of buy it out of necessity and you don't necessarily feel one way or another about it. But to actually know that they're doing such good things through the farmers and through the agricultural world down there, like, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and folks, if you want to get close to that again, the episode way back from season 1, I think, with Ryan, the founder and
Kelley.
CEO of that organization. So listen to it; it's amazing what he shares in that episode. So check it out.
For sure.
Ryan Kelley, Madagascar Coffee Company. Thank you, Ryan.
We'll post the in the comments below this one. We'll post to that episode as well, or reference it. So Tim, speaking of really cool people doing really cool things, we have our guest today, Clark. Clark is a personal friend of mine, and I was really excited to have him on. And he talks a lot about something that I think many, many, many of us enjoy, but don't necessarily know much about, and that is making of beer. And not just beer like, oh, he makes his own brew. Like and I know he doesn't call himself this, but he is like a brew master. Mm-hmm. And he does this for a living, and so he's obviously steeped in the knowledge, and getting to know his story was pretty sweet. So let's roll that interview. We are very lucky today to have Clark Benson on, who is a personal friend of mine. I can't say enough good things about him. And I'm very excited to introduce him to Tim today and to all of you, obviously. So Clark, can you give us like the 10-second spiel on what you do and, how you came to us and all that stuff? And you don't have to mention all the fly fishing and how much better you are at it than I am, but you can if you want.
I'm not that good. No, I can talk. I watch a lot of YouTube. I have like ADD, so it's like at night when when all the kids go to sleep and stuff is when I get super energetic and I hyper focus and watch a lot of videos on YouTube about that kind of stuff. But anyways, about me, my name's Clark. I am 39 years old and I make beer for a living. Now, I've been in the brewing industry for over a decade. I've done almost everything except for own my own brewery, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, that's pretty much what I do. Yeah.
Nice. Nice. And
Yeah.
tell us a little bit just how you got into, like, you'll have to correct me here. Is it correct to say you're a brew master, or like what's the
No.
Okay.
So yeah, I would not call myself a brew master or even a master in general. That's just kind of my personal philosophy. But at the same time, no, I would call, like, I'm a brewer, you know, but cool. I am my passion and my the art side of things I do is barrel aged strong beer aged in oak or other spirit or whatever wood vessels. Gotcha. That's my focus. So that's where my passion is. Yeah.
Gotcha. So like whiskey barrels, wine barrels, those kinds of things, that aging process.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Okay.
Cool. Yep.
You have to dumb it down for me. I don't really understand a lot of it. So
no, I know that's going to be the tough part for me, because I have crazy like imposter syndrome where like I just think that like I have no idea what I'm doing and I'm just winging it. But when I talk to other people and it really starts to come out that like, oh no, I think I do know what I'm doing a little bit just by the words that I use and process, and I act like, oh, you know what it's like to louder, you know, like you know that.
I was loudering earlier.
Yeah, you're louder. You probably, yeah.
If I'm interpreting it correctly, Clark, how did you get into this?
Like, well, okay, let's go all the way back. I got into the bar industry in college. A friend of mine was working at a bar, and he was just like, "Hey, we need a door guy," and I'm like, "Whatever." I like hanging out, I can make some extra money. I don't mind doing whatever stuff. And so I started in the bar industry. Ended up being like the general manager of the bar. Eventually, then it closed. I moved, and my wife was getting her PhD in Athens, Ohio, at Ohio University. So I was when we moved there and got married, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I started working at the Buffalo Wild Wings in town, because I'm like, hey, I've got managerial experience, bar experience. The only thing I didn't really have was the food side, but I was willing to learn it. It's important. So I did that for a while. But across the street from the Buffalo Wild Wings in Athens was a small brew pub called Jackie O's Brewery, or Jackie O's Pub and Brewery. And I went there on Tuesdays because they had $2 pints of Guinness on draft. And Guinness is my favorite beer. So I was like, yeah, $2 for Guinness? Like, awesome. Went there, started trying the beers, or drinking Guinness. And I was like, well, I'll try some of their stuff. You know, they're a brewery. I was like, whoa, this is pretty cool. But that's pretty much it, like, in terms of beer. Like, I never, like, went to school for it. I never went to, like, I was never a home brewer at all, which is wild. But that's when, like, going there opened my eyes to beer. Like, Guinness opened my eyes to, like, something other than, like, Blue Moon or Natty Light, which is pretty much what we drank in college.
Yeah.
But, like, I tried some of these other things, so, like, this is pretty wild. And I started liking we went there more frequently. I started, getting to know the staff there, and I was like, you know what? I don't really like this corporate gig, this thing. I want more private business, just bar, brewery. And so I went over there and started working there, waiting tables and bartending, all that stuff. But the real thing that happened got me into the brewing thing was one day I'm at, the bar restaurant, and I see one of the brewers there doing paperwork at one of the tables. I go up to him and I'm like, hey, is there anything that I could do on the brewing side so that I don't sound like an idiot to customers? Because I'm like, I don't know, like, why is this beer in this glass? Like, why I'm like, I don't, these styles and stuff. And they're like, you know what? Like, we could use some help filling kegs on Sundays. And I was like, cool, I can do that. And that's what kind of started. Just doing that, filling kegs, asking questions. It kind of came pretty easily, but I was very interested in it. Like, it didn't really feel like work or stress. And I was like, all right, okay. I got it pretty fast, and the environment was awesome, and I had some really great teachers along the way. And then I just was like, yeah, this works. Here I am over a decade later doing it. So that's cool. It's pretty cool.
And then how did you go from that as your foundation all the way into like the barrel aged thing is my jam? Like, how did that happen?
Yeah. So our, at the brew pub at Jackie's, The former brewmaster, there you go, I guess, head of brewing operations, lead brewer, whatever. He he was all over the place. Like he would do I really have to credit a lot of the creativity and also the emphasis on making beer fun and try just experimentation to my mentor and the first guy that really I worked under. His name is Brad Clark. And he was big into doing weird, wild, crazy stuff in oak barrels with mixed fermentation. This was all stuff that using wild yeast and bacteria to make oak aged sour and funky beers with different souring bacteria and wild yeast strains and stuff. But he also did imperial stouts, barley wines, really strong beers, and aged them in spirit barrels. And so seeing that on a smaller scale and understanding just the story behind the beer, the art behind it, the connection from barrel all the way to the glass, everything about it just really resonated within me. I really loved the romanticism of the blending of these beers, the fermentation of them, this kind of hands off, in a way. At the beginning, you're all right, well, I've done everything I can on my side of the brewing process to make sure that this works out. And now it's on its multi-year journey hanging out in these barrels. So I really like that aspect of just kind of being I'm going to do everything I can, but after that, it's not, I can just taste it along the way and maybe do some things, but ultimately it's on nature. It's on stuff that can't be seen.
Right.
So that really is just really cool.
That's a lot of trust.
It is.
I mean, even just cooking dinner, I'm kind of I don't know, man. The next half hour could be dicey. We'll see how this goes.
Right. No, I know. 100%. Yeah, I know. And so I had, again, I think it just goes back to having great teachers that were willing to, take my ideas of not having any prior brewing experience at all, and just let me ask questions as I'm learning this fresh, but I'm excited.
Right.
So I'm going in, and there are times where it's I'll ask a question and be okay, well, that doesn't really work that or that, but I never thought about it that way. Maybe we could try that. Or there was just a very good learning environment there that I never really got I wouldn't say shut down and called you're dumb, you're an idiot for even asking that, or more no, let me explain why this is the way this is and why we do things the way we do. And I'm a very hands-on learner, and I was thrown right into the trenches, but it worked. Great. It was awesome.
Can I jump? This is so interesting because I like beer, but you're kind of opening up this whole new world to me that I obviously don't know anything about. If somebody wanted to get a degree in this, I mean, what's the furthest that someone could go in terms of studying from an academic perspective, or is it all sort of just that lived experience, hands-on?
Well, no, there are official schools for brewing. Obviously, the rigid understanding of brewing, and brewing has a huge tradition, especially over in Europe and Germany, and then also the United States. There's the Siebel Institute, and with craft beer's big boom, I guess that is now falling off. Over the last decade, sparked a lot of universities to do a beer and brewing class in colleges to understand that and the process, really kind of break it down in an academic way. And there's plenty of books. There's all the books. There's everything, YouTube, forums.
That's cool. And we should real quick and point out, you are not only a brewer, but the stuff you make wins awards. And it's really, really good, just for my own personal preference, but also people seek you out in your stuff. And also, I didn't realize this until I moved here, but Cleveland is a really heavy craft brew market. There are a lot in Northeast Ohio, and the fact that your stuff stands out among all that is really incredible. I have a question though, because one of the things that, like, this is kind of a bit of a tangent, but one of the things that I really love about all these microbrews is like the naming of them all and the inspiration behind them all, and like that's kind of its own art unto itself. How do you? Because you have some beer that I know you've personally made that has some really fun, funky names. Can you kind of go into like, do you get to name them? Is it like put up to the staff? Is it like, how does that work?
I'm very fortunate that with the barrel program at Masthead, I have I'm in charge of that. You know, the owners are very trusting in me. They understand like my process and just how thoughtful I am on everything that I do, and so they trust me with that to kind of make sure it fits within a brand. That it's nothing, you know, that it can be serious, but it can also be silly. You know, it really kind of to me fits. It's got to fit the beer.
Right. Okay.
And yeah, and the naming process, you know, you can go the fun pun, you know, pun forward name.
Sure.
You know, like, oh, the hot blonde, you know, oh, it's a blonde ale with peppers in it.
Right.
Like,
right.
you know, stuff like that. But like for me, music, video games, art, those are where I get a lot of my inspirations for names for beers. And some of them, yeah, I do get to name myself, but I usually have to explain why their name's that, and usually they're like, yeah, that works for us.
That's cool. Can you? I have a little bit of background on that question too, because you've told me this really cool story. I was hoping you could kind of recount to us. There's one, and forgive me, this is not my realm of music, so I'm totally going to butcher this, but there's one that you were talking about that was named after either a band or an album, or maybe a specific song of a band that you really like, and you actually got in touch with the band. Like
Oh yeah.
Which one was that?
Yeah. One of my favorite bands is called Resin. They're out of Chicago. It's REZN. They're more like sludgy, stoner doom, dream doomy, kind of. I don't know. It's like all over the place. I don't know. They play like hard riffs, but they also have saxophones and synths and horns and stuff. Like, I don't know. I really dig it. It's heavy, but at the same time, magical. I don't know. But it really resonates with me. It's not like Pink Floyd, but like super heavy. But they have a song called Webbed Roots off of their album Solace. And I love the song. I love the ambiance, the environment that it puts in my head when I'm listening to it, and just like super heavy riff at the end. And I'm like, Webbed Roots, okay, like I really like that name. I had a stout that we brewed with maple syrup. We then aged that in a bourbon barrel and then double barrel it. So take the beer that was already aging in a barrel, put it in these barrels that were had bourbon barrel aged maple syrup in them. So it was kind of like this double maple, like really emphasis on that. I'm like, all right, well, trees, they all grow together. Their roots are all intertwined. They're webbed together. And like the way kind of how I perceived this beer was like, yeah, I'm taking something that was, you know, the syrup from a tree into a beer that is then aged in a vessel that was from other trees. And then it went back into another vessel with more wood and more maple syrup. So kind of just like really connecting all this stuff together. And I just felt like it just really fit well with the concept behind beer and just the music as well.
Yeah, for sure.
That's kind of where I got the idea. I always, I'm really good at BSing my way into validating some name that I came up. Oh, like, well, you know, this connection gets like however many like layers to Kevin Bacon. I think is 6 degrees or something like that.
Yeah,
I can make those connections.
Yeah,
that's impressive.
You had me.
Yeah, so no, that's just like the kind of stupid stuff that I think of when I'm like, yeah, it's like ultimately it's a beer, but at the same time, like I don't know, like. It's fun putting thought into, you know, those connections.
Yeah, for sure.
Like for me, whenever I make these things, it's like, hey, I thought this tasted good. I think it's pretty cool. I think you might like it and think it's pretty cool too. If you don't like it, no worries. But like, you should also have fun with it. Like it's beer.
Yeah.
Like it's, you can contemplate it. You can get all like serious and smell it, do all these things. But ultimately, I'm like, no, you want to have an enjoyable experience, and you're spending money on something that you should taste good and bring you into a certain mindset. And so this is kind of my way of creating that by like first thing you see, and is the name and what it is.
Right.
So if that can kind of get it in there, then hopefully I can start creating the same kind of headspace I was in when making it.
Nice. Using that specific beer as an example, how long does all that aging take?
Yeah. So, all right. So when designing these beers, just from like grain, from like all the malts, like thinking about these styles that are kind of already been laid out for you within like historical styles. There's all these competitions that judge beers by specific style. So we have to design these beers that it's like, okay, this hits these style guidelines. But also it's like we're designing a beer to be very strong, and also it needs to withstand the time that it takes to age. So we're already building just like this big beer. And then it goes into oak after fermentation is finished, and it goes into oak for I on average, most of my single barrel stuff that I like to put out is anywhere between 14 to 18 months.
Okay.
Yeah, recently things have been pushing up towards like that 20 to 24 month time period for just in one oak barrel. But Webbed Roots is usually at least a 2 year, if not 2.5-year-old beer.
Can I interrupt you real quick on that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Can anything go wrong during that time period? Could
Absolutely.
Can you explain that?
Yeah, a lot of things can go bad. So it's like a lot of it comes down to cleanliness. With brewing, we are, I'd say 90% cleaning, 10% brewing. That seems to be the, like one thing I always told myself. People ask about my job, they'll be like, well, if this brewing thing doesn't work out, I'll be a hell of a janitor because like how much do I have to, making sure that everything is clean from the get-go really helps. Getting in these oak barrels that are more or less, we want them as freshly dumped of the spirit in them as possible. That way we know that they're more or less sterile, because there are beer spoiling bacterias, wild yeasts, things like that can get into the oak that you can't see, and it's really hard to test for them.
Mm-hmm.
There are ways of more or less sterilizing these vessels through steam or chemical. Potassium metabisulfite, I think, is one of them, and like a citric acid rinse. Those were some of the things I had to rinse barrels with that stuff at another brewery that I worked out in California. For what we want to do, it's going straight in these barrels. So it's like, all right, beer's got to be good. Beer gets tested. It's clean for any kind of micro stuff. And then I line up all these barrels on barrel racks, and I purge them with carbon dioxide. So I get a slow trickle that goes all the way to the bottom of these barrels, and it slowly creates this blanket that goes all the way up and purges all the oxygen, because carbon dioxide is heavier than oxygen. So it creates this layer of CO2 in there, and oxygen spoils beer. So the main thing we want to do is create an environment where there's as little oxygen as possible. Now, through the wood, there is micro-oxidation because wood is porous, but also tight. It's weird. Wood's awesome. Don't get me started. With barrels, though, there could be micro stuff in there. You could have a leaky barrel. So I have to hammer the hoops in a little bit tighter when I get these barrels in. I inspect them to make sure that we're not going to leak anything out. There are ways, luckily wood is, porous in a way that if we do have some small leaks, that usually seals itself when the wood starts absorbing the moisture in the beer and swells and expands,
right.
which is why barrels are so cool as well. So there's those ways, and then it's taking when the beer's ready. I put a little, we call a bung. So in the top of barrels, there's one hole called the bung hole, and and so you gotta that's where the beer goes in and out. So so you gotta we seal that up, make sure that that's good, and we gotta let it sit. But how we pull samples, I drill a hole. I take a drill and I drill into a barrel head, and it just pees out beer. I just take a cup, catch it. I'll just take a stainless steel nail and shove it back in that little hole. That's how I do it.
Tim, did you not know it was called a bunghole? You're losing it like you're a 10-year-old. Did you not know that?
I feel like a little child.
Yeah,
So
man.
you got. I think it was Clark's little snicker after.
That's
the,
definitely.
Well, of course. I mean,
you have to. Come on.
I didn't expect that, Clark. That was well played, and clearly,
Well, thank
done
you.
that before.
Well, I know, because every time I say it, I hate saying it. It's just like, all right.
Yeah.
Well,
But that's the term for it. Yeah, I get it.
yeah.
How many beers do you get out of one barrel?
And depending on the barrels, so let's say like a bourbon barrel, traditional bourbon barrel, 53 gallons. So we try to fill it up. I try to leave as little head space as possible, but I'd say probably get around 51 to 52 gallons of beer in there. I like to leave around an inch of head space so that when because the beer going in is cold. So, and it also has some dissolved carbon dioxide in there, whether it be a super small amount, it's still in there. So as the beer warms up in the barrel, it's going to expand and that gas is going to start to dissipate a little bit. So having a little bit of head space is pretty important. We also have these breathable bungs that if there's too much pressure in it, they pop out and release the gas without letting oxygen really back in. But in terms of how many beers, I think we usually yield on average around 45 gallons. So we lose around, 5 gallons, at least 5 gallons of beer through tasting, testing, but like that's only maybe 8 to 16 ounces at a time, maybe of a pull of the barrel. And I don't really pull too much throughout the life of the barrels. But that's mainly just to, evaporation and like the condensing of the liquid in there. It's pretty wild. So, but that evaporation does go into play with the temperature control or lack thereof for some of our barrels. We have 2 sets of barrels. We got one that we keep down in our tap room production area, one like row of barrels just for customers to see, and also just because it's so fun to have them down there. And that is air conditioned, heated, stuff like that. But we have a second floor in our brewery that's where most of the barrels are, and that is not temperature controlled at all. So it gets cold, in the winters, and it gets warm in the summers. But I think that attributes to the flavor and especially with our barrel aged beers, are very spirit and barrel forward. That's kind of how I like them. And I think the temperature fluctuations actually help with that, because you have the oak, expands with the heat and humidity, and then contracts with the temperatures as well. So I think having the kind of the oak, the vessel moving like that, allows the beer to really permeate in there and get some really cool, intense flavors.
Which is kind of interesting too, because I mean, I'm the farthest thing from a scientist, but you've got basically, if it's 18 to 24 months ish here and there, you've got 2 cycles of each year, right? Like all 8 seasons, I guess, right?
Yeah. I mean, pretty much, for sure. Especially if they're pushing 2 years, absolutely.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I'm, a lot of the stuff you're talking about, I find really fascinating. Not only from just the process and everything, but it is really based in science. Like, did you gravitate towards science when you were in school? Like, did you kind of?
So the funny thing about that is, like, I'm very like by feel. Like, I hate exact numbers.
Oh, okay.
Which is fun. Like, I don't know. I'm weird like that. Like, I'm just kind of like, like when I'm cooking, I'll look at a recipe and just be like, I don't make that. And then I won't, whatever, pinch, dash here, whatever. So, brewing itself, like I think brewing is the perfect combination of baking and cooking, because you need to have the understanding your ingredients and how that they change. Just because we use all the same base malts or hops, like they say this year is that, but it's like, it's a year. It's these are crops. These are things that are grown, and it's really hard to get super, consistent things on there. So that can change. Maltsters can change. You can change the temperature of certain things. Hops change. Stuff like that. So going into it there, you have to understand your raw materials, your ingredients, like how they're going to react with each other. And especially after a long period of time, too. and having the science side of it is the ability to create a recipe and replicate it consistently.
Yeah.
Be sure that you can more or less predict how fermentation is going to go, predict how the brew itself is going to go, and getting all your analytics on that. But my view on brewing, because I didn't take the scientific approach, because I never took the school approach of it. There's this one quote from Rick and Morty, and I hate saying that because people are like, "Oh, you like Rick and Morty?" Or whatever. I'm like, no, like it resonates with me because there's this one time where Rick Sanchez, one of the main characters. This is early season stuff. This is not the newer stuff I like. But the early season, he's talking to his grandson sidekick, Morty. He goes, Morty, sometimes science is more art than science. And that's kind of my view on brewing, or at least what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I focus more on the art side of things. I focus more on we get this time, and we have to embrace it for what it is this time. We can do everything we can to try to replicate it, but at the same time, it's like, I'm not going to be upset if we don't nail it every single time, like in terms of repetition, especially with the barrel aged stuff. And that's why I like the barrels, because all the barrels are different. They're all unique. I mean, you talk about, there's a reason why there's single pick bourbons. There's a reason why there's like all this stuff.
Sure.
And I think that makes them super special, especially like when I love, being able to do single barrel expressions, like single barrel picks of a certain beer. But at the same time, I like, larger runs where I'm blending multiple styles and multiple beers together that are different ages and different bourbons or spirits together, creating something completely new that I will never be able to exactly replicate this ever again. And I'm okay with that because I got to experience that.
Right.
Like, this will never be the same, and that's okay.
Right. There's a romance to that for sure.
Absolutely. I think it really just goes back just to the romance and just like the understand that time is fleeting and that we should just enjoy ourselves, enjoy what we have when we have it, and not dwell on like, can we do this again? Or, we can try to do this. No, let's just hang out and chill and like enjoy what we have right here and embrace it and understand that this is not for that.
Clark, I dig that. When you're brewing, are you thinking competitions, or are you thinking customer satisfaction, or a little bit of both?
A little bit of both. Before working at Masthead, I was never really big into the whole beer competition things. It was like, yeah, I brew with style, not to it. Like, yeah. But at the same time, the whole mentality of competition. We at Masthead, we enter in a lot of competitions because we enjoy it. Not only because it feels good to win, but at the same time, it's great to get feedback from our peers, from other people that are, within the industry or certified that understand these things. So to make sure that we are staying within those style guidelines, we are, making beer that we should be proud of, as opposed to like It's like, no, you really should be proud of this beer. It's really good, and it's to style and. Yeah, so that like having both of those, I think, is pretty important. Like I think it goes back to I like to make beer that people want to drink, and if you don't like it, that's fine. You don't have to buy it. Okay, great. But at the same time, like if I'm going to put something out for sale, it's got to be good. Like I want people to like it so I can keep doing it.
Right.
I don't want to just be like, hey, I'm going to make this weird beer just for fun and like, yeah, it could be gross or whatever. I don't care. It's like, well, no, people are going to have that. They're going to be like, I don't know if I want the next beer though. It's, you really have to take that's where it comes into, I think, just maturing, growing up in the industry, going through like the initial wave of craft beer, boom, there's breweries everywhere. But a lot of them are closing now. So I think the emphasis on quality, consistency, and making things exciting, but knowing that quality is there, they can stand behind it, I think is really important.
I respect that.
Does Masthead have sort of its standard, long-standing brews that
the customer would just know and expect? Or are you changing the game?
No, we think, going back to how Cleveland is such a beer centric city. Cleveland is an incredibly difficult beer market to be in if you're not Great Lakes. And then that's the reason is because of Great Lakes. Great Lakes set the standard for a lot of Cleveland, drinkers.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people grew up, with craft beer in Cleveland. Whereas other cities and other states, craft beer just kind of exploded out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Cleveland's always had, Dortmunder Gold and Lickery Mustard, Conway's, all these legacy brands. And so I think that because of that, it's important to have multiple brands and multiple styles consistently. We call those core brands, like our core 4 because it rhymes or something But we got we have an IPA. We have a West Coast IPA just called Masthead IPA.
Mm-hmm.
We have a hazy IPA called Hazy Headlines. We have a coffee stout, which is one of my personal favorites, called Single Origin Coffee Stout. And then we have some rotating seasonals as well, and we also have some rotating double IPAs in there. But primarily, we brew three beers very consistently, and then every week we throw in 1 or 2, sometimes 3 different brands that are either available taproom only or limited. So that's where I think we hit the mark pretty well in terms of consistency. You can rely on these beers to always being around, being fresh, but at the same time, you can always find something fun if you get a little hair up your butt and you want to try something.
I like it. And then we should add too, for those of you who are in the area here or passing through Cleveland, Masthead is a really cool tap room and a really good spot. Is that technically downtown? I'm still relatively new here. It's downtown,
it's on
right?
Superior between East 13th and East 12th.
Yeah. It's a great
technically spot. Walking distance from where the Browns will continue to play or wherever until their new stadium is full, and then Guardians as well as the Cavs.
Yeah.
So
it's a cool spot.
Yeah, I like it. Now we got good pizzas, good salads. I eat there a lot. So my also body by pizza and beer. So
tell.
Yeah. Well, there's a saying. It's does it never trust a skinny brewer? Yeah, I think that's what I was saying.
There you go. I like it.
Yeah. So no, you can trust me. All right, I'll tell you that.
Clark, I have a question. We do trust you.
Yeah.
For you. So if I went into a liquor store and walked up to, a cooler of all of the different craft beers and all that stuff, some of that, how much of that comes down to, obviously there's a lot of people who really pay attention to this. I don't so much, right?
Okay.
The design of the can or the bottle would grab my attention. How does your organization engage in that space? Do you have artists who work for you? Do you contract that out? Talk to us a little bit about that if you can.
Yeah, so we have our head of marketing and design. She primarily does most of our label designs. We have outsourced some designs to another local designer before, but primarily right now we're doing most of our stuff in-house. But the main thing for us, especially with our cans, is pretty much like what I have here right in front of the camera. We have our logo dead center. We have this 2-tone color, and then the name on there. So having that consistency, across the board, having that big logo there when people are looking for our beer and they look for that big logo right there on the front, they can tell, and then they can go if they there's the masthead, and then look down and see the colors or the names. Yeah. And it'll kind of tell you from that.
I will say it's one of those things where it's very consistent, and it kind of breathes reliability. You also have a different can. Your cans they're larger, aren't they?
We're 16 ounces.
You're 16 ounces.
We are in that 16 ounce 4-pack market as opposed to the 12 ounce 6-pack.
Right. Which also stands out too. Yeah.
It does. Some certain places are a little hesitant to bring in our format compared to others, just the way that their coolers are set up. I think that our format has worked really well for us, and it's nice that we can offer beer in pints as opposed to 12 ounce.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
that's pretty cool too. Yeah,
it's, cool. It's good beer.
I really like how things are. Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
it's very good beer.
I don't. These days I don't really. I'm not really on the brew house as much. I'm more so on the floor, helping things out, cleaning tanks, making sure we're prepped and ready. Consider myself a support class. If you're into like video games and stuff like that, I like to make sure that everyone has what they need to do what they need to do. Mm-hmm. And if someone needs help, I'm willing to jump in. You know, like I'm a jack of all trades, master at none, but I can do a lot of things okay. But
he's being modest. He's being modest.
Yeah. No, I know. I really seriously. It's I love my job. I really do. I have so much fun at work. There's really never a day where I wake up and I'm like, I'm not going to go to work. Like, other than when the fishing's really good. That's the only time I dread going to work, which I'd rather be fishing. But that's almost every day, except for right now when it's this great south,
dude. Yeah.
But I love my job. I love the people I work with. I like the environment I work in. A lot of us, we really care about what we do. We care about the beer that it's like we want to like the beer that we make.
Absolutely.
So it's like no, we want to make sure that the customer likes our beer, but at the same time, like if we can't like our beer, how can we expect the customer to like it?
Sure. Sure.
We are the first barrier between if this beer goes out to customers or if it doesn't, pass to us. I think it's caring about what you're doing, caring about it, but like also realizing that it's beer and people are drinking it to have fun. It's pretty great. I like it.
That's cool, Clark. It's cool that you dig your role so much. We can see the passion there. What do you make of and I know we're winding down, Trav. Clark, what do you make of the home brew kits? Do you suggest those as a good move for people, or would you tell people to kind of stay away?
Well, considering I never homebrewed, I couldn't tell you. But which is just wild in itself. Like a lot of people that in my industry, they're like, I was a home brewer for 5 years before I went into this. So like, I don't know what I was doing. I was just like, I'll whatever. So when people ask me, like one of my neighbors actually home brews and stuff, he's like, hey, what do you think about this? I'm like, I have no idea what you're doing. I went straight into using like professional equipment. So I'm like, I have these 5-gallon buckets and glass and all this stuff. I'm like, I don't use that. But I think the best way to, is I think it really just goes back down to sanitation. That's the biggest thing is like, as long as you really care about cleanliness when it comes to beer, like remember, you're going to be drinking this stuff. Like it's going in your body. You want to make sure that it's pretty cold and making sure that you have an airtight seal and stuff like that. I mean, thankfully, with YouTube being the way it is now, like there's really no excuse out of, to say like, well, I didn't know how to do this. Like, no, someone's gotten that kit before or whatever. The only problem with those kits, I would say, is just the quality or the freshness of the ingredients. You're dealing with, who knows how long that stuff's been sitting in that thing. So at this point, I think that for those that want to homebrew and like be really serious about it, awesome. Go all in, go crazy. Like read all the books, read John Palmer's How to Brew. Like that book right there is like, if you can read that and still want to be like, I'm going to do this, awesome. Go for it. But like, other than that, like we really are in the golden age of craft beer, like for the beer drinker. I mean, like why brew it right now when there's so many options that you can go out and buy and save yourself all the time and the hassle for maybe something that didn't like, that's not going to turn out great. That's the thing, the difference between cooking and brewing. It's like, you can cook something and, realize it's crap within 30 minutes, or whatever.
Yeah.
You got to wait how long? You got to spend a whole day brewing a beer and then you got to wait for it to be like this. And then you're like, crap. Like, this is garbage.
What a waste.
What a waste of time and money. But again, I think if you really are interested in it, like if you really want to go down the rabbit hole, absolutely go for it. It's cool to do. See, it's science experiments, and you have to approach it that way. You have to kind of just be like, well, we'll see what happens. I don't know. Yeah. That was either awesome or not. Like a great story. Like for me, with all this one, I didn't know what I was doing brewing like this. I came up with goes back to like the brew names and stuff. I wanted to make this beer that was kind of like I wanted to use lemon verbena and a And there's this local tea provider just down in Athens, and I wanted to use some different teas. I wanted to make like an Arnold Palmer, but like style beer, like a pale ale. Arnold like has lemon verbena and also some tea in it, and I called it the Arnold Balmer after the Arnold. Just so dumb. I know, it's great. I got so into it, like, but I'm new to this, so I'm just kind of like, whatever. I got the tea, and I'm thinking, okay, well, we hops. These things are pelletized. You pour them into the kettle while it's boiling, and they dissipate. It's kind of like adding seasoning to like a stew or a soup. All right, cool. Well, I get these tea. While this unbagged tea just raw, just leaves just there, and I just go just dump it all in the kettle. And my mentor and brewmaster at the time, he looks at me and goes, "Did you just jump all that tea into that kettle?" I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Isn't tea usually in like tea bags?" And I was like, "Oh yeah." And he goes, "That was awesome." Like that's the mentality I grew with. Like it's like, hey, all right, just let you know what you did. That was crazy. We're gonna see. Like that was awesome. We're gonna see what happens. Like just let you know. Like,
so what happened? Did you have to throw it away or no?
No, it turned out okay. Like it was fine. Like our main concern was having all of that loose tea leaf, like dropping out. So we're not collecting tea leaves going into the fermenter with all the yeast and all that stuff. We're going to make sure that all that gets removed. And also doesn't get clogged up and through what we have called the heat exchanger, which runs, it's like a radiator, but for cooling down wort, the sugar water. So it's like just a bunch of tiny plates that gets cold water through the one side of the plate, and the hot wort, the post-boiling wort, goes through the other side and rapidly cools the beer down, or the worts down to, a safe rate for yeast health. So like that was our only concern. But like stuff like that where you're like, oh boy, I don't know, we'll find out. Like, hey, oh boy. I'm like, good thing I just work here and it's not my brewery, but at the same time, like I want this to work out. But luckily it did. But see, again, like that moment of just like this unknown of me not knowing was a cool science experiment. We never made the beer again. It was one of those things where it's like, oh, I distinctly remember this because it was so different, removed, allowed for that experimentation. And making mistakes is fun. You can find out some cool things as long as you realize, again, it's just beer.
Right.
So that is the nice thing that it is fairly, I wouldn't say it's fairly cheap to make, but it's still pretty cheap.
Right.
That's cool. So, I have one final question, if that's okay.
No, you can ask away. I got time.
Is Guinness still your favorite?
Yeah, I love Guinness. I'll drink Guinness. Yeah, oh yeah. I buy Guinness. I get Guinness by the 18 pack at Costco.
Mm-hmm. Costco.
That stays in my garage vestibule.
Yep.
The extra refrigerator during the winter.
All right.
That stays out there, and I like I was brewing beer during the whole brewed the hard way. Budweiser came out, and like Bud Light, like everyone was poo pooing about that. And, like I was part of it too. Like it's swill, whatever, making fun of big beer. It's like while you're making this like small craft, like no, we're doing this with quality and care. But like the more I'm in this industry and more like on production side, it's like, man, to make beer to be like that consistently, taste everywhere like the same. How they do it's insane to me to think that like we're able to do that like anywhere in the world you can be like, do you guys have Budweiser? And they'll be like, yeah, and you drink it, you're like, yep, tastes like a Budweiser. And right, it's pretty awesome. Yeah. Whereas like for us, it's like, yeah, it's really hard to do, but it's just really cool where you're like, all right, you can poo-poo the big guys, but at the same time, when it comes down to like brewing process and consistency and the science side of things, they've really got it down, and it's really impressive.
Yeah,
so,
and in the case
I can go on and on.
No, it's cool. And in the case of Guinness, they've been doing it for, a really long time. That's a serious history there. So,
man, Guinness is the best. All right, like man, it really is. It's so cool because it's like delicious and creamy and looks good, right?
Yeah,
you see it in that cool glass. You see it cascading, right? You look at the beer like that, and you're like, man, that's cool. So automatically, it draws you in, right? aroma, chocolate, coffee. Still smells like beer, but it's got a little kind of like a tang to it. You're like, ooh, okay. But like for most of us, like coffee or chocolate, like those are things that we already know. And when you drink it, like the color of it being like this, like brown, reddish brown kind of color. A lot of people think it's like super heavy and thick, but it's like, no, it's actually one of like the lightest beers.
Yeah.
Like it's just got a little bit more calories than like your American light beer.
Right.
So
yeah, it's actually fairly low
and
calorie,
so much more flavor.
Yeah.
I think it's like 125 calories or something like that for 12 ounce or 14 ounce.
Yeah, it's actually not bad for a beer. Yeah, it's not bad.
Whatever. They don't use those freedom units that we use, man. They use those milliliters. So yeah.
Well, Craig,
but
thank you, man. We really appreciate you coming on and like explaining to two dum-dums, how the stuff that we like to drink is made. So thank you. Appreciate that.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, there's so many. I can keep going on and on about beer and just like how important it is to just human history as well as just us just enjoying the philosophical things behind it, the stories behind it is just really cool. The cultural aspects of it is really cool, and I think that the craft beer push in the United States is very distinctly American. How we've taken beer and we're like, like traditions are cool and all, but like we're gonna make it like Gatorade and stuff. We're gonna put like Yellow 5 in it, and like it's very American, but at the same time, like it's exciting. It's like, all right, we're pushing the boundaries.
Yeah.
We're saying like what is beer, what is not, and it comes down to finding this line of like, all right, like that's not beer, but like this is beer. So it's fun to kind of be part of that. But at the same time, I never would have thought that I would be making beer for a living. I never would have thought that I'd have the opportunity to do what I do, and then enjoy doing it. So I'm very, very grateful, very thankful for everything that's worked out in my life and to get me to this point. And I hope I get to continue doing it for as long as I can.
Yeah, for sure.
So
we hope so too.
Yeah. Definitely.
Thanks, guys.
Just a final push. We are sponsored by the Madagascar Coffee Company. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, that's great.
A couple times. It wouldn't be so bad to be also sponsored by the Masthead Brewing Co.
I knew it was coming as soon as he said it.
What kind of sponsorship are you talking about? You just want to? Well, I think I can sponsor Trav. I can drop off some beers at his house, but I don't know if I can sponsor you.
I'm looking for something big on
top. Bigger.
Yeah.
Well, we can.
All right, like what? Like you want a whole barrel? You want a whole barrel? That's what you want.
I don't need a product. No, I just want you guys to, I'd love to air your services and extend you guys out beyond the Cleveland community, so that one day in New Jersey I can purchase a Masthead brew.
Oh,
there you go. There you go. We'll figure something out.
All right, man.
I like it.
Thank you,
Clark. Thanks again,
pleasure.
man.
Well, hey,
Appreciate
anytime, guys.
All right, Clark. Thank you very much again for joining us. That was super fun. I feel like I should have been drinking a beer while we had it, though.
Well, that was late at night. It's currently about 11 in the morning, so it's probably good that we don't have one right now.
Maybe. I'm not here to judge, but I hear you.
No, Clark was great, man. I mean, what an authentic guy. Such an interesting journey into that industry, and I learned a lot. I mean, certainly from like the science perspective of the whole thing. How much goes into the trial and the error, and just all of the moving pieces to try to make the right brew. That was really, really informative. I'm really grateful that Clark joined us. Yeah,
for sure. And the other thing that I really, and I've felt this way as his friend as well, but he brings like a levity to it that makes me really appreciate just like his perspective on things just overall, where it's just like, I do this really cool thing, and everybody outside of it is like, dude, this is amazing. I can't believe you get to do this, blah, blah, blah. And then like he talks about the inspiration of how he names things and, how he makes things and what goes into it. And it's like, to him, it's just his everyday, and he's, pretty chill about it. So Clark, thank you for offering all those perspectives and expertise. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that was really great. Thank you, Clark.
All right, Sam. Well, I think that wraps us up.
All right, mister.
Tim and Travis on the mic, talking life and what's alike. Middle age, it's quite the ride. Finding joy and chasing pride. Career dreams and daily grind. Funny moments that we find. Letting go of yesterday, making paths along the way. Middle age. Middle-aged mayhem breaking free, finding out who we can be, laughing, learning all the time. Tim and Travis in their prime. Every step a brand new plan, older, wiser, still we stand, navigating through the years, sharing stories, laughs and cheers. Middle-aged mayhem breaking free, finding out who we can be, laughing, learning all the time. Tim and Travis in their prime. Every step a brand new plan, older, wiser, still we stand, navigating through the years, sharing stories, laughs and cheers. Middle age, enjoying the fun, middle age has just begun. Tim and Travis lead the way, every episode will slay.
You may have to cut that out too. We don't curse on our show.
It's
Seriously?
4
Is it
degrees
painful?
outside. It can be. I think I probably have a fairly
I
mild
found
case.
this on the web for Is It Painful? Check it out.
Well, I hope we can get into all your problems on this show today.
Yeah, I'm here, all right. Yeah, just ask away.
And then we always tell people to just laugh at everything we say.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you're nice to me, Tim, maybe I'll bring you some.
We can't have any more crying.